Guru Om Tat Sat. The Word of the Guru, the Life and Teachings of Guru Narayana by Nadraja Guru. Foreword by John Spiers. The author has asked me as a Westerner to write this foreword, but personally I don't think it is necessary. However, I respect the wishes of Dr. Nadarajan, who is my Guru. I have known him for 16 years and have been intimately associated with him for the last 6 years. I am quite well aware that the mention of the word Guru will probably cause some eyebrow raising, but not enough, I trust, to stop you from getting on with this book. Here you will find nothing escapist. Such religion as it presents is philosophically and psychologically interpreted rather than urging any creed or belief, least of all what is commonly called Hinduism. But when all that is said, I am aware of an archaic taste remaining. That cannot be helped. It belongs to the subject matter. Indeed, the prehistoric element evoked is a healthy reaction, fundamental, quite materialist, or at least rebellious enough to satisfy the modern mind in revolt against the conventions of history. The majority of people have always been materialist. Here, materialism is not rejected as a proper view in its proper place, but it is balanced by other aspects of human life. This book represents the voice of the Guru. It is a solitary voice, recorded more or less against the stream of pressurized thought, both Indian and elsewhere. Its tone is as much foreign to India as to other lands. Certain old values lost to the world had to be restated. The temper of modern India is flamboyant, nationalist, and in a hurry to exceed the dynamic Western world's successes in the material sphere. Hence, most of what is written here is very little known to India itself. Yet, I have no hesitation in affirming, after many years' active association with Indian thought and current literature, that you will find in these pages the authentic spirit of the contemplative East. It is not due to any bias for South India on the part of the author that he indicates certain reasons why the contemplative spirit should persist in this far too little known corner of the world. South India has seldom been in the news. Nothing sensational happens here. Ever since the days of the Mughals, North India has held the stage. The inner life of India, that strange factor of contemplation on the other hand, has naturally withdrawn to its safe preserves. Even an author such as W. Somerset Maugham, on his quest for a background for a novel about a guru, chose Malabar. Nobody visiting South India can be insensitive to its heritage of leisure. The northern Indian should not feel any offense. He too has to wander into the Himalayan regions to find a parallel refuge for contemplation. No antagonism is implied. The far south disarms all opposition by its poverty, mildness, simple ways, and its deep roots, both primordially instinctive and intellectually strong, penetrating further into the past than perhaps anywhere in the world, with the possible exception of China. Everywhere in India, no less than in other parts of the world, there exists a psychological unrest and tension which nobody seems to be able to cure. There is, besides, a natural skepticism against all panaceas, certainly when proffered by the headline experts in politics, economics, science, religion, and philosophy. It would be too much to expect repeatedly misled readers to come to this book with any new hope. All the same, there is hope here. You will not get the sense of a letdown after reading it. This work is about an Indian. Its background is Indian. The philosophical language is mainly a survival of what has matured in India, and it is written by an Indian. All that notwithstanding, I cannot sufficiently emphasize the fact that its vision is global, beyond locality and circumstance. Its theme is not so much the biography of a great man as the biography of a central value which might be called unity of understanding, happiness, and in India, Ananda. As a help to the reader, something may be said here about the structure of the book. In the first place, the whole volume is intended to clarify a subject, which is genuine spiritual tradition of India. Around this noble subject, so many spurious, uninformed, and sensational ideas have gathered, from the lowest level of cheap novels even to the highly rarefied platforms of professional punditry, that it is a feat in itself to have cleared away all this mass of accumulated inane, misleading, vulgar litter. At the same time, this subject is obscure enough in its own surroundings to need the pointed attention of a peculiarly qualified intelligence to unravel and expound. The word of the Guru, therefore, is quite the reverse of occult journalism. I am breaking no confidences when I say that it was rejected outright by a well-known firm of publishers in London because it was not sensational enough by such standards. The author scorns to play up to the debased taste of those who relish books about the mysterious East, miracles, fakirs, and the whole gamut of yogi tricks and stooge figures. Hollywood and colorful swamis can be left to cater for the lovers of mysteries. Commercial interest is not in the author's taste. Secrets can be sold by the historic organizations and the various yogis who trade upon the gullible. Dr. Natarajan is one of the rare living authorities on Advaita Vedanta, which is the science and heart of the wisdom tradition of India. He has devoted his life to this subject. He is a philosopher who lives his philosophy, but he is not a professor of philosophy. He is too sincere to make good on a platform or to cut a charming figure in society. He himself is a guru. That is the long and short of it. That qualification alone makes him and his book unique. In writing this volume, he has done so in the only way possible by centering his subject matter around a real living being, his own guru. In relation to him, he himself was a disciple. The first section of this volume stands by itself, and readers will be found to observe a vast difference in style and method, as if it were written by a different personality. This is almost the case, since not only is there a time gap of over 20 years between its original publication and the remainder of the writing in this volume, but the mood of elation and youthful veneration has subsided to the self-assured certainty of philosophic maturity. In this first part, the Guru Narayana as a man is described with some emotion, but in the second and larger portion of this book, the Guru figure assumes a greater status, perhaps less impressionistically, but all the more important on the immense canvas of history, and he may seem at times almost to dissolve into symbolic rank as a principle of Guruhood. This is partly intentional. It is only by taking the particular Guru Narayana as a representative of a permanent, timeless Guru model, as a typical example close to our own times of the pure philosopher who stands not for special view or argument, but for the principle of pure reason and wisdom of India, that the author can display with justice the meaning of Guruhood and Guru wisdom. In its full content, this is only incidentally Indian, just as the Guru is only incidentally the man who was the boy Nanu with certain parents and a certain environment on the west coast of India. The universal value, the global vision, thus gets a chance to be represented. In the third section, some examples are given of the literary works of Guru Narayana. The word as it was given on different occasions to fit the needs of popular and special exigencies. Much of this will appear abstruse and peculiar for non-Indian readers because of the intricate and unfamiliar Indian background material and terminology. But at the same time, this third section will be appreciated for this very reason, as it has a flavor of its own, a sampling of an exotic South Indian dish, so to say. It conveys the real mental and spiritual conditions of South India. From the list of the literary works of the Guru Narayana given at the end of the book, some idea of the vast material yet to be explored and annotated and commented upon will be noticed. It is Dr. Nadarajan's intention to do this. This is a service to his Guru. Christ had Saint Paul and a whole sequence of mystics in Europe to continue this labor. Lao Tzu in China had Zhuangzi and other Tao writers fitted for the same expositionary task. Muhammad's commentators existed too in the form of the Sufis. Plato and Aristotle were elaborated and understandable through the efforts of their linear successors such as Hypatia, Plotinus, and Dionysius the Areopagite. The Zen masters in China and Japan had their aphoristic works interpreted by their disciples. Dr. Nadarajan's book is but the breaking of the ice in regard to his Guru's works. More will follow. The present is largely introductory and by no means a final statement. There are far more serious treatments ahead relating to contemplation as a science of tremendous value to modern thought. This is not to say that Dr. Nadarajan is merely an elaborator of the Guru Narayana. He has not only his own original contribution to the subject, but without departing an iota from the Guru's text, he has himself revalued and restated, with what can only be called his own contemplative insight or yogic intelligence, many of the puzzling enigmas of applied philosophy. Indeed, if I may be bold enough to say so, he has made what amounts to revolutionary discoveries in philosophic thought and practice. He has taken up that much abused term dialectics and given it a synoptic meaning. He has shown how polarized ambivalences can be resolved at any level, from the personal to the collective psychologically. He has brought contemplation out of the closed system of private individual life and shown it to the sanest human solution for every possible contingent problem, social, historical, religious, and philosophical. In all this, he has not deviated from or abused the teaching of his own spiritual teacher. On the contrary, he has continued the method which had such success with the Guru Narayana and former Gurus. This method is logically clear and yet elusive enough to have puzzled the intelligence of all philosophers hitherto to bring down to understandable terms. In preparing this book for publication, I have worried the author for 6 months over his terminology and his language, trying to put myself in the position of a lay reader to whom it is all new. This accounts for what may seem to the specialist in philosophical jargon the banality of some of the footnotes. By the lay reader, for whom this book is meant as much as for the serious student, it is not like Macaulay's schoolboy. The glossary too is meant mainly for non-Indian readers, but even Indian readers will find many a novel and rational rendering of some of the puzzling terms which are too often given a slipshod English equivalent. Thus, my part in this publication is that of a critic and literary finisher. Any unorthodoxy in style or language is mainly due to the subject matter and the appalling paucity of English or almost any other modern European language, with the possible exception of German, when it comes to finding exact terminological equivalents for the highly perfected words in Sanskrit, Malayalam, and Tamil. Contemplative psychologists have developed in these languages an exactitude of precise technical terms to a degree bewildering and amazing for the newcomer, more than in any other languages, not excluding scholastic or theological Latin and Greek. This process of accuracy of definition has a growth at least 2,000 or 3,000 years old. From the philosophical point of view, or the psychological Western languages in this respect are lisping a baby language. This is not said in disparagement of the enormous elasticity, fecundity, and vigorous ability of Western languages to coin terms suitable for mechanistic description. But if new life is to flow into the world, not only must ancient peoples in Asian lands assimilate the language of modern science, the reciprocal or dialectical assimilation of the specialized psychological vocabularies of the East must be attempted by the West. This is a side issue of some relevance which this volume may help to stimulate. But I must leave the reader to discover other things of interest and value for himself. My role is that of an announcer, anxious now to step aside, to let the curtain rise, having, I hope, prepared you for a patient reading of an unusual and epochal book dealing with human understanding and the welfare and happiness of us all. John Spiers, Narayana Gurukula, Kaggalipura, Bangalore South. Guru Om Tat Sat.